Hey everyone, this episode is brought to you by Velavita Candle Company. This is a candle company that I launched in the last couple of weeks. I'm excited. I noticed that one of the things that I always do when I get home was to light a candle, to relieve that stress, enjoy my time when I got home. It just really kind of relaxed me. So I wanted to launch my own candle company. I make these, they're handcrafted. Check them out at velavitacandle.com. I will put a link in the description so you can check out the website. Go and get you a candle, enjoy the relaxation of aromatherapy. And let's get started with the show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Breathe Motivation. My name is Anthony Hester. I'm the host for this show. So glad to join you guys this week. Man, I got a lot going on right now. So you guys heard I launched my Velavita Candle Company. Also, I'm on baby watch. Our baby's due in August 10th, but may come here sooner. I don't know yet. And then guess what? We've been together officially for 2 years. So July 7th was the date that I started this podcast. 2 years. 2 years has flown by. I hope you guys are enjoying this show. My goal was always to help you find purpose and passion in everything you do on a day-to-day basis. And that's exactly why I'm here. So let's get started with today's episode. I'm going to give you the definition for today. Haven't done that in a while, but it's going to be FOMO. So have you guys heard of FOMO? That's the fear of missing out. So I noticed earlier this week, I probably have noticed this a million times, but when it comes down to it, right, we all notice these things and just kind of push it to the side because we're so busy or however that looks. But FOMO is the fear of missing out. And it was something that was crafted by Dan Herman. He was a marketing guru, and he's the one that came up with this. And I thought it was interesting because a lot of the times, when you're dealing with stress, you're dealing with anxiety, you're dealing with, depression or panic attacks or however that works. And that's something that I've dealt with in my life. Fear of missing out is a big deal. And it kind of branches out. It was interesting as I did more research for the show on FOMO. There was actually a couple other acronyms that were created by Dan Herman too that aren't really used, but they totally made sense. So fear of missing out is a big deal for a lot of us, right? It's something that I've noticed in my life, especially with the, kind of the blessing and curse that social media is, right? A lot of people are stressing out because they see people going and traveling, and you're not traveling. You see people with these new jobs. So you're seeing new people get new jobs and you're stuck in a job you hate or however that works, right? You have this fear of missing out, and it's so scary and how you get that feeling because it's always, with anxiety and panic and depression, when I've been there in those spots, like you always have this what if thinking, what if I had done this? Would I have been in a better place? What if I didn't go to that party? Are my friends going to be mad at me? It's all these thoughts that run through your head, and it can be really scary when you think about it. So fear of missing out is a real thing. It's a big thing. It's kind of a phenomenon now, is how, most of these places, all these articles that I read for these, kind of research for these episodes, that's what they're calling it, is a FOMO phenomenon, right? And it's always been something there, but I think it's been kind of really pushed more, and you feel that more because of social media and all of that around there. And like I said, it's a blessing and curse. I love social media. I love that we can contact and show all kinds of different things that are going on in life, and then also have the ability to connect with so many people that you maybe not be able to connect with before. So blessing and curse, it sucks. It's good. I don't know. But that's one thing that I noticed in the last couple of weeks was this fear of missing out on all these opportunities. There's so many things that can be going on in your life. And, with so much going on around you, with so much, access to all this information, whether it's, the websites, it's, marketing, it's sales, it's all kinds of stuff that is, kind of targeted towards us. And it's very easy to get caught up in the thoughts of fear of missing out, right? Fear of missing out, on anything. And it's one of those, being in sales is kind of one of those techniques that they teach you, is the fear of missing out, creating a sense of urgency for people to go and buy this now, because you're going to miss out on this deal. You run into this stuff all the time. And I think it's very frustrating because as you get into that and as you start to think about all these other things that are going on in life, man, it can be overwhelming. And that's what's created this pressure. It's like a pressure cooker. At some point, you're going to burst. And that's what happened with me with anxiety. It just kind of hit me out of nowhere because I was running myself ragged, wanting to be the best I could be at everything that I could do. And if I didn't do those things, guess what? At the end of the day, I'm going to look like a loser. That was my thought, right? And it's crazy to think about how that works. But fear of missing out is a big thing, which The next acronym that it led to was FOBO. So FOBO was fear of a better option or fear of better option. And I think a lot of people run into that too, right? Whether it's you're looking at your work, right? If you're not happy with your workplace, is there a better option out there for you? And I've run into that several times, right? I told you guys I had like 4 jobs in the last year. In 2017, I had 4 different jobs. And I was, I don't know what I was searching for, but I was looking for a better option. I was looking for something that was going to be a little bit more fulfilling inside. And that's when I had to kind of take an approach and really change my mindset to being in the present. And I think that's something that's going to help, cure that fear of missing out. A lot of the times when you look at the things that you do on a day-to-day basis, it's all behavior. And I hate, that was one thing that I, with this company I worked for, that was what we were always looking for are the behaviors of our salespeople, our sales representatives, right? And that was something that kind of was like, man, I know that these behaviors need to be put in place, but it was kind of how these, I guess, were projected at the time. It wasn't, hey, let me look at these behaviors, but we were looking to get people in trouble or, I don't know. It was kind of a weird process. But when you look at it, behaviors are a big thing that help us to get out of that mode. When I go through anxiety or having panic attacks, a lot of it comes from just not being present in life. I'm always thinking about future oriented thinking. What if this happens, right? That's one of the biggest things that happen, are the questions that I ask myself. What if, right? What if are the questions that you ask when you have anxiety or you're going through a lot of stress. What if I don't hit my sales targets? Now I'm not going to have enough money. Now, after I don't have enough money, guess what? I'm going to lose my house because I can't pay my mortgage. And, it just goes through this long, you go down like this hole and you dive yourself into this hole and you keep going down this hole. And guess what? It's hard to get back out and you're stressing and, that anxiety is surrounding you because you're allowing yourself to go down this hole. So it's important for us to really figure out how do we get out of this hole. And one of the things that I noticed that I would do, and I've learned this kind of technique, over several years, is you've got to redirect those what if questions. So when you start to kind of get that feeling of pressure, you're starting to think about the future, or, if I started to feel a little bit of anxiety, I had to stop myself and ask myself, what am I thinking? Right? What am I thinking about? What is the process and what's the thought that's creating this anxiety? So if it was, not being able to make enough money, right? That was the thought. That was the root cause of it. But then I'd go down this hole. So I had to kind of say, great. What if I don't make enough money? What are my options? And at that point I would say, cool, I'm not going to lose my house. It's just not going to happen. Right. There's other, what I had to do was put other actions into place, right? Do I have some savings? Maybe I have to dip into that savings. Maybe I have to borrow some money and I don't want to borrow money, but at the end of the day, if that's what's going to help me keep my house and I can pay somebody back, then it is what it is. I'm not some loser because I have to go borrow money from somebody, right? You have to kind of talk yourself into that. So what am I thinking? Next, what am I feeling? What are those feelings inside that you're feeling? Like, are you, a lot of the times when I had anxiety, I would just kind of feel nervous and, I'd feel kind of nauseous sometimes and I would feel all of these things. And why am I feeling it? What, is what thoughts are causing this? Because a lot of the times that one thought that is really creating and the root cause of this isn't really what you're thinking about of why it's creating this feeling, right? And then next, what am I doing, right? So what am I doing about this situation? What can I do about this root cause? I look at all those options and I write it down, right? So if I wrote it down on paper, I was able to see all these thoughts that I was having. So it was quicker to be able to assess it, look at it, and kind of correct what I needed to do. So I corrected my behavior and how I thought. So instead of looking at how I thought and, fear of missing out on situations or fear of anything, right? Fear is a big thing, right? It's false evidence appearing real is how they say it, right? Or, all kinds of acronyms, right? So when it comes down to it, you've got to be able to kind of just live in the moment, live in the present. At the end of the day, a lot of the things that we worry about are things that we will never, ever really run into, right? Not once have I missed my mortgage payment. Not once have I lost my job because I wasn't hitting sales. I thought so far into the future that, oh man, I could see, I'm going to lose my job. No, I didn't lose my job. I just worked. I changed my behaviors. I stopped worrying about the things that I couldn't control. And a lot of that's what happens with FOMO. You can't control people going on trips, right? That's one of those things like, great, they're going on a trip. Now you're thinking, oh man, they must have some great job, right? This great job is leading them to all these great other things. And, I'm stuck here in this job that I hate and I don't enjoy doing it. But when you look at it, it's just a picture, right? And then at the end of the day, you can start to travel more. It's just a matter of planning and making it work for you. Because life isn't all these rainbows and butterflies, and it's just not realistic, right? So these trips that people are going on, you always see the happy pictures. You don't ever see people going through hard times. You never know what people are going through, so it's great to see this great, everybody has their best life on Facebook, right? Or Instagram or whatever social media platform, or all your friends are always going to tell you the best things that can happen, right? Or your acquaintances, because a lot of the times we look at we have friends, but they're probably more like acquaintances. I talk to them here and there. I maybe not be even close, right? Because most of your friends are going to be able to talk through those hard times. You're going to be able to do those things. So you've got to really look at what you're looking at and change your perspective of how you're looking at it. Living in the present, and how, if you want to go travel more, how can I travel more, right? And what are the steps and behaviors I need to take to be able to travel more? I think that's a big key for your success in moving forward in anything that you do. So you've got to be able to be aware of all the thoughts that you have. Because at the end of the day, fear of missing out is going to lead you to really missing out on anything that you're doing, right? One of the other acronyms was FODA, right? So kind of Yoda, but with an F. So it's the fear of doing anything. You start to, have this paralysis by analysis. So now you're so scared of doing anything, you're basically throwing in the towel. You're saying, I can't do it anymore. I'm just going to give up, right? And that's one of the hardest, and that's a scary place to be. I've been there. I've gone through those thoughts of, man, things just aren't going right. What else can I do, right? What else am I going to do? I might as well stop, focusing on, the podcast because it's not generating enough. That was, one of my first thoughts was, great, this isn't reaching anybody. Why would I continue to do it? But I had to push through those thoughts. Those thoughts are the ones that you have to push through. You have to kind of pick yourself up and say, I can do this. I can do whatever I put my mind to. I can change my perspective on how I look at life, and I'm not going to allow myself not to do anything with it. Because that's where, the frustration sets in. That spot, I think, is really that anxiety. That's where the anxiety perks up. That's where the depression kicks in, is that spot. That thought is the fear of doing anything. When I have anxiety, I was afraid to go into a movie theater because I was afraid of having a panic attack. So I would push myself not to go to movies very often, right? And instead of, enjoying myself and being in the moment, I was so I'm so focused on thoughts that were negative or were holding me back from doing anything that I wanted to do. So you've got to be able to change that perspective of how you look at life, right? You're not missing out on a whole lot, right? Like I said, start looking at how Facebook and social media, start to, for me, I kind of put limits on myself on how much time I spend on there, because I can literally lose hours, looking at Instagram pictures, Facebook articles. There's so much information that I can touch base on, and it doesn't create any excitement or any happiness within me. So I would rather pick up a book and read that for half an hour to an hour, because I'm going to gain some kind of nourishment from it. There's so many other things that you can focus on, and that will allow you to live the best life that you have, versus looking at what the best life of everybody is on social media, because that's not going to get you anywhere. It's so frustrating. I know, right? Social media has trained us to get this, dopamine experience and get these exciting things. You get these notifications that people are liking your pictures, and it feels good for the moment. But after that stops coming, then you start questioning, or, hey, I don't get enough likes, or whatever that looks like, right? So again, you're going back down this hole that is going to hold you in there. So don't get stuck in this pattern of fear of missing out, FOMO, the fear of a better option. There may be better options out there, and you do have to assess those things. But take some time to, create a pros and cons list. Write things down on paper. I promise you, when you write things down on paper, and this is something that I do for myself, I write these things on paper, and it becomes clear of what I want to accomplish, right? My goals, if I want another job, what is it that I'm looking for specifically? So I'm not just applying for jobs and job hopping, right? It's kind of one of those frowned upon things, but I look at my experience over that 1 year of finding multiple jobs. I was able to find kind of what I was willing to accept and what I was not willing to accept. So I think that can be a good thing, but always make sure that you're kind of, moving forward. You want to always continue to move forward. And sometimes you might have to take a side step to move forward, which is a good thing. So start to look at those things, write things down on paper. I promise it's so much easier. Just look at it. When you're writing these things down, just kind of free flow and do your thing, and it'll allow you to, be able to see it. And, I go back to my notebooks constantly and kind of look at the things I was going through. And again, a lot of the times that just gives me confirmation that if I just keep moving forward and not be so focused on future thoughts, great things do happen. Things happen. One of the things I hear all the time is that we overestimate what we can accomplish in a year versus what we can accomplish in 10. So you start to get discouraged in that year versus what you'd accomplish in 10 years if you were really to focus on it. So let me leave you with this quote. Sometimes I have to remind myself that I don't have to do what everyone else is doing. And that's anonymous. So follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Breathe Motivate, like my page on Facebook, and check out the website, breathemotivation.com. And then also check out vellavitacandle.com. Get that 20% off the candles. And I know that you would enjoy those. So as always, remember to breathe motivation and exhale success. And I will see you soon. Thanks.